There are moments in history where two lives collide, not because they hate each other, not because one is evil and one is good, but because the world they were born into only allows one of them to survive. This is one of those moments. On April 13, 1612, two of Japan's greatest swordsmen stepped onto a silent island. Only one walked away, but neither of them truly won. Before we talk about their duel, you have to understand the world they lived in. Japan, early 1600s. The age of war was ending. The great samurai clans had stopped fighting each other. The sword, once the tool of survival, was slowly becoming a symbol, a tradition, a memory. And in this fading world of blades, there were two names everyone knew: Sasaki Kojiro, elegant, disciplined, a master of perfect technique; Miyamoto Musashi, wild, unpredictable, a man who fought like the rules didn't exist. Two very different men, but shaped by the same era. They didn't choose to meet. History chose it for them. Let's start with Kojiro. He was everything the samurai ideal admired: tall, graceful, calm, precise. He didn't fight like a warrior, he fought like an artist. Kojiro trained in the Chujo-ryu sword school, but he didn't just learn technique, he improved it. He created a move so fast and so beautiful that even today martial artists study it. Tsubame Geishi, the swallow reversal, a horizontal cut followed instantly by a reverse strike, so quick it was believed to cut a bird in mid-flight. Not strength, not brutality, just perfect timing. His sword was longer than most katanas, almost like an odachi. He named it Mono Hoshizao, the drying pole, because after a duel, it didn't need cleaning. Kojiro was undefeated, but here's the truth no one talks about. Perfection is heavy. When the world sees you as flawless, you're not allowed to fail. You're not even allowed to live quietly. Every challenger wants your throne. Every victory is expected. Every loss is death. Kojiro wasn't just fighting opponents. He was fighting the weight of being the man no one could defeat. And then there was Musashi. Nothing like Kojiro. Unshaven, barefoot at times, clothes loose, hair wild. He didn't bow, he didn't dress properly, he didn't care about elegance or honor. By the age of 30, he had already fought more than 60 duels and won all of them. But he didn't win with beauty, he won with the strategy. To Musashi, a duel was not a dance, it was a mind battle. The true way of the warrior, he later wrote, is to win before the sword is drawn. He didn't want to impress you. He wanted to destroy your confidence before you ever touched him. Where Kojiro trained to be perfect, Musashi trained to be unpredictable. One lived inside form. The other lived outside it. And that's exactly why their worlds were destined to crash. The duel didn't happen because they hated each other. It happened because Japan demanded an answer. Who is the greatest swordsman alive? A samurai lord backed the duel. Word spread across the country. This was not just a fight. It was the final test of the sword era. The duel was set for an empty island in the Kanmon Strait, far from cities, far from politics. A place where the result would belong only to history. Ganryu Island, a quiet shore, white sand, open sky, no escape. Two men, two styles, two philosophies of life. Only one would leave alive. Kojiro arrived first. He was prepared. Calm, fully dressed in samurai uniform, hair tied, feet steady, sword sharp. Witnesses said he looked like a statue carved by the gods of discipline. He stood there, waiting for Musashi. Minutes passed, then an hour, then another. Musashi was late. And in samurai culture, being late to a duel is not disrespect. It's psychological warfare. It tells your enemy, you are already mine. I don't rush for someone who is already dead. When Musashi finally arrived, he didn't even bring a real sword. He stepped off the boat holding a wooden weapon, carved from the oar of the boat during the journey. A man who had defeated 60 swordsmen did not even bring steel. Kojiro's anger wasn't just rage, it was humiliation. He drew his blade and threw away the scabbard. "You will not need it again," he said. And that was the last sentence Sasaki Kojiro ever spoke. No bowing, no greeting, no ceremony, just silence. Kojiro attacked first. Fast, fierce, perfect. The swallow reversal, the move no man had survived. But Musashi had already calculated the reach, timing, and angle. His wooden sword was just long enough to keep distance. His late arrival had broken Kojiro's rhythm. His strange appearance had destroyed the balance Kojiro relied on. Musashi stepped to the side, not even a full step, and struck downward with all his weight. Wood met skull. One hit. The greatest swordsman of elegance was killed by a man holding a blunt stick. Kojiro never touched him. And Musashi didn't smile, didn't celebrate, didn't gloat. He just walked away. Because victory didn't feel like victory. Kojiro's name faded, Musashi's became legend, but legends don't bring peace. Musashi never fought another duel like that again. He began to avoid killing. He isolated himself. He turned to painting, sculpting, strategy, and philosophy. People think this duel made him a legend. It broke him. He later wrote, "The ultimate victory is to defeat the need for victory." Kojiro died a warrior. Musashi lived long enough to realize the cost of being one. People ask who was stronger, who was better, but they're asking the wrong question. The real tragedy is this. Both men were prisoners of a world that demanded blood to prove worth. If they had been born in another era, Musashi would have been a philosopher, Kojiro would have been a poet. But in their era, there was only one path: fight, win, or be forgotten. And so history remembers the winner, but it never heals the wound of the loser. Two men walked onto an island. Only one left, but in the end, they were both defeated, one by death, the other by the meaning of life. Because the greatest duel in Japanese history was not about swords. It was about two men trapped in a world where only death could decide who had lived well.